This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach. We are ending eating disorders, and it is just so fun to, see all the amazing progress that you guys make and to celebrate your stories. Thank you for your emails and your messages and your posts in the group and your comments on the videos. And it's just really fun to see this community, and that we really don't have to have eating disorders anymore. Like, it's an old thing that we know exactly how to get rid of using only our brain. And that's what we're doing over and over and over. So in fact, if you know somebody who doesn't realize that, who doesn't realize like that they can be done with their eating disorder, this is the place for them. We're just sharing real stories of real people. And I mean, it's been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people now that in a very predictable way have just gotten free. And there's really nothing as awesome as freedom. So we have an incredible woman who has just showed up. She has done the work. She's just been so much fun to work with, a grad of our program that we are celebrating today, so you guys can hear her story. And welcome to the show, Tracy. How are you?
I am good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, welcome on. I'm so excited to celebrate you. So let's just start out getting to know you a little bit. So tell us, what is sort of your origin story? How does the food thing go? What was your journey sort of leading up to when our paths crossed?
So it goes back a long way. I'm in my 50s, and I can remember for as long as I can remember, my mum was always obsessed by diet and weight and looking good. And my dad was always obsessed with commenting on women. And basically the worst thing you could do as a woman was to be fat and overweight. So that was the background. And then I was at boarding school from the age of 11, and basically was sexually abused by the priest. So I got moved from that school to another one, and that basically started, I think, the sort of eating thing, because at the next boarding school I definitely stopped eating and became sort of borderline anorexic, and was sort of expelled for that and various other reasons. So it was really properly started in my early teens. And then for the next probably, I don't know, 20 odd years, till in my 40s, I was obsessed with diet. I was a normal weight, but I was obsessed with diet. I didn't do any purging or anything, but I did do binging. So it was a definite binge or diet cycle. And but I was a normal weight, but it did used to consume my thoughts, and I used to join Weight Watchers at crazy low weights and things like this. And so that carried on, and I was married and I had kids and that, but that was the sideline. Probably maybe twice a week I would binge. And then in my 40s, what had happened to me at school started to sort of come back, because my daughter had reached the age that I had been. And I definitely got less and less able to do any kind of dieting, and more binging. So I really gained a lot of weight quickly, and sort of was just, I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know why. I just thought I was had an eating disorder. I didn't really sort of, think I could be helped. I started having therapy for what had happened to me, and that did help, but the binging was still a thing. The food was still a thing. And I used to just try so many, the diets got crazier and crazier, and I was doing meal replacement plans, and sort of not eat anything for 3 months and then binge and, regain it. I'd lose a lot and regain it really fast, and had all sorts of horrible things, and just was thinking I was completely out of control. And it was such a sort of shameful secret. I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't tell my friends. They must have wondered why on earth my weight was sort of cycling so much, because I wouldn't even really tell anybody I was doing the meal replacements, because I was ashamed that that's what I was doing. It was kind of a bizarre behavior kind of thing. So why would anybody do that? And so then when I did the binging, I couldn't also say that that's what I was doing. It was just like this unspoken thing that was going on. And I would be in such foul moods because of just having had so much sugar and just feeling so awful. And it was great. You get a high when you're losing it, and then just feel so dreadful when you're putting it all back on again. And that just got worse and worse in my 40s. And then recently and then each of these diets, I couldn't then carry them on. I couldn't carry on doing them. I could do them a few times, but then that had almost used up that diet sort of cycle. And so I was trying to do every other day fasting, because I couldn't do the shakes every day and all these kind of things. And I used to spend, on a day when it hadn't gone according to plan. I would spend that night feeling so ill, lying there thinking, right, tomorrow I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and oh, but I can't do that because maybe I'm going out that day, so I'll have to switch my fast day. And literally hours at night I would go through, and then as soon as I woke up in the morning, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it. So it was a complete wasted cycle, and so that had got worse and worse over the last probably 15 years, until it was just, kind of like, oh my God, I just can't do this anymore. I'm just going to get the size of a house, kind of, it's just going to never end, and I'm going to be left with this kind of bizarre eating disorder that I thought I had.
Yeah.
So, and that's when, and I used to research so many things. Like I used to buy books that were going to sort me out. I'd never actually read them. I'd just go through almost like a binge buying thing.
Yeah.
And, so that's how I came across, because I had read Brain Over Binge that you mentioned quite a lot, and it had made sense, but it didn't, it wasn't enough for me to, I thought it was too much of a problem for me to be able to just sort it by something like that. So, so I don't know quite how I came across your site, but it was through searching for some other thing, and I watched a few videos, and I'm all about, oh well, there's something free here, so just let's do that then, without really thinking about it. And then I was really busy, so I didn't get a chance to cancel the appointment. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to do it. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to do it.
Oh, isn't it amazing how things work out?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have such an incredible story, and I just want to honor that. Just, I mean, we all come from a place where we've been through so much, and there's so many stressors, and when we sort of like look back at the expanse of our life, like so much has happened, and we've felt things and experienced things, and life just keeps marching on. Like, it really is amazing with how much time an eating disorder takes, not just how much time day to day, but really just how much time of our life, because it's like every day is, well, I'm going to get better. I've got to be better at some point. It's like, oh, I'm sure I'm almost done. And, 30 years can go in a blink like that. Yeah. And I really just want to bring awareness to like this feeling of desperation, right? Mm. Of like, you have like the only thing that seems like you could hold on to, like a diet, right? Well, we have to do something. So we have to do a diet. And then the emergency of that, the desperation of that tends to get harder and harder and go up and up because it's working less and less. Yeah. So it's like if you have this medication that's the only thing you think is keeping you alive, and it's getting less and less effective, and you're taking more and more of it, it's really a scary thing. And what a lot of people don't realize is the very things that we take as these medicines, right? These very, same helps or cures for an eating disorder, most of the things out there actually make it worse.
Yeah.
So
and you get so kind of like, I'm an all or nothing. So I am doing this and like whatever it would be. And then as soon as I hadn't managed to quite do that, it needn't even be a big thing. That was it. The whole thing was a disaster. And you just and you sort of think that everybody else seems to be doing it fine. It's just, I used to think, oh my God, and I don't know whether other people, and my friends have a binging thing, but they certainly cycle in their weight. They may not, I definitely was an all or nothing. I was either dieting or I was binging. There was nothing. And I used to say, I wish I could just eat normally, like a normal person. I'd watch some friends leave things and think, how do you do that? I want to do that kind of thing, but I could never do it. And I was either dieting, so cancelling appointments, not seeing friends, not even wanting to go out, or I was binging, and then I also wouldn't want to go out because I'd have probably eaten so much during the day that actually by then I felt sick and really didn't, you put things in the diary and I could never know whether actually it would work because I might be dieting or I might be binging. And either way, I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah. And I know how incredibly isolating that is, that when it's all or nothing and both sides of the all are isolating, it really like, okay, so when do you see people, right? Yeah. Because you've never
got a brief window in the morning before you might have started binging, but when lunch isn't, if you're dieting, and it's just mad. Or I can't see you because I've stopped eating. Oh, I can't see you because I've not stopped eating.
Exactly. Yeah. So for you, I mean, Tracy, what was really the hardest thing for you at that time? Like, right before we sort of, you connected with us. I mean, What was sort of the biggest cost or the hardest thing of what the eating disorder was doing in your life?
Well, just the mental space, the sort of obsession of desperately wanting a cure, but not being able to do any of these, cures that aren't cures, but just the, oh my God, I used to sometimes worry that I could die from my stomach exploding because I'd eaten so much food. It was the whole kind of like, oh, it's exhausting. Oh my God, I just want to get off the kind of the madness. And the almost like feeling high when you think you're going to be able to do this one, and then they're like, oh, it hasn't worked, kind of thing. I've failed again, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, and it was just like a complete sort of takes over your mind. It's just an obsession, not even just doing the dieting, just thinking about it is such a, takes up so much mental space.
Yeah, just such a roller coaster of these ups and downs of like, this will be the thing. Yeah. This is gonna work. This is my salvation. And then it's harder every time you crash. Yeah. And then the ups work less and less because the dieting works less and less. And then what you used to be able to do for 3 weeks, now you can only do for 3 days. And then what happens with your body over time? I remember wondering that same thing. Like, I wonder if this can kill me. Like, I wonder if the binging couldn't rip my stomach and that I could die. And in this information age that we live in, I remember holding my phone and wondering if it was worth it to Google it and find out. I was so afraid of knowing the answer. Yeah. And I knew that nothing, like with all the horrible things that happened from this, knowing that never changed my behavior. So I'm like, well, is it better to just not know? Is it better to just wonder if this is going to kill me than know, like, yeah, what I'm doing right now really might kill me? Yeah. And it's incredible stress.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's really horrible.
Yeah. Anything else just from that experience, of really having an eating disorder, all this obsession, all of this exhaustion that you want to share about what that was like?
Well, it's like the other side of that was, as I said, I used to research sort of solutions and order all these books, good books as to how to kind of, not diet or get yourself out from this kind of thing. But, and that would be it. In my mind, I had sorted it just by ordering it. But of course they come, and I wouldn't, if the box would come, I wouldn't actually remember what it was in there. The book is like, oh, and I sort of put it on the shelf. It's like, oh, I know I'm not going to read that. Or I might read a bit, and it all just sounds too much hard work or too much kind of, I'm not going to be able to do that. It's not going to work. So the whole high of having ordered it, then, by 2-3 days or a week later it comes. It's like, oh, it's almost like a sort of book diet as well. Kind of, oh, this is going to work. Oh, that sounds so great. And all, read all the reviews and everything. Oh, it's made such a difference, blah, blah, blah. And it comes to you like, oh, it's just another book. And actually, oh, I'm never going to read it. I've read a few, like Brain Over Binge, and yes, it sounds very sensible, but that's not talking about me. That won't be able to help me.
I think that's such a great point of like, it's not about me, right?
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes it can actually be discouraging to be like, oh, this worked for everyone else and this worked for everyone else. But you're like, but what do I do about me? Right?
Yeah.
Because like
I'm not normal, so that won't work for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know how hard that is to just be like, okay, all right, here's another thing that doesn't work, didn't work, sounds the same, not about me. Yeah, that's
yeah. And definitely. Yeah. So when I look back now, it's kind of like, oh my God, that was just relentless.
And it's like you get so exhausted from doing all the food stuff that the energy to do all the stuff to try to fix it, it just feels like heavier and heavier. Yeah, absolutely.
And also with the meal replacement shakes, the people, the lady who was selling it, who's, she's a lovely lady, but she was very forceful and very like, this, you can do this, kind of like, so you feel more and more, it's like, it's just me, I'm the one failing, you sort of pretend to try, or because I had been successful and gone up and down 3 stone in 3 months and all that kind of stuff. But, you sort of like, I'd stop replying to any of her messages because it's just like, oh, I just don't have the strength to do that again because it's so hard. And you sort of like feel like you're letting them down. I mean, she's just doing it as a business, so that's fine. But she has done it, but it's just like, oh, I can't even do that. Can't even do that, kind of.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're letting them down, you're letting yourself down, your family, your whole, you've got everybody's weight on your shoulders, literally, kind of, oh, I can't even stay a normal weight kind of feeling.
Yeah. And then it stacks up,
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that no one ever, I mean, there are, maybe little waves in it, but no one ever like gets better at restricting, No one's ever like, all right, now I finally got it. It gets harder and harder and harder. Like your body really fights back. So it's like, you start thinking there's something terribly wrong with you and you're the only one, but the things that we're doing actually make it worse. But then what do we do, right? So
yes, because then you sort of think, oh, maybe I'm just letting myself go, kind of like, we're surrounded by people doing diet talk and this or that, and wherever, going up or coming down, or this sort of, and so it's kind of like, well, if I just step off that without your help and things, it would happen, just like chaos.
Yeah, chaos, absolutely. And here's a myth that I want to bust right now, because I love how you said, oh, maybe I'm just letting myself go, right? Like a lot of times we have this concept of, well, I have to diet because what else would I do? This is how fast I'm gaining weight when I'm desperately trying to diet. I can't imagine what would happen to me if I gave up dieting. I'd probably balloon up 3 times as fast. I would completely lose my health. So a lot of times we're pitting these two things against each other of like, okay, well, am I going to do this thing that's exhausting and difficult, or am I going to face something much worse, which is just gaining 500 pounds this year and dying? It's just like, so I know how scary it is to not know, like the alternative of, or you could just be a normal eater.
And I sort of used to think that I would just binge every day for the rest of my life. If it didn't have sort of smaller and smaller pockets of eating, you sort of think that actually the other side of it will just be an everyday thing. You will just binge, or I would binge every single day, because that's what I used to do on the days when I wasn't able to diet. So you don't have any kind of, that's going to be it. That's going to be it for my life. Eat the world.
Yep, and that's just going to be so I better keep trying harder at this thing that I've been doing for so long, right? So in fact, that is a big thing that comes up for women who, I mean, they can actually get a free session just like you did with us, right? And sometimes we have people actually cancel their sessions because of the fear of, yes, but I just simply can't accept letting myself gain 100 pounds because I'm allowing, or because I'm not dieting anymore. And then it keeps them from getting the help that they need, because we have these ideas that there isn't an alternative. Like, if I wasn't doing this, it would just be this other awful thing.
Yeah. I had the session. It's scary as well, because I've said here my issues, and that's so much and so for me, it's quite to sort of think that either I will be the one person that doesn't work for me, other things. B, it's a financial commitment, and I spent a lot, but oh my God, if I also spend this, then that's so huge that I will just waste it. And giving up that kind of, although it's so horrible, it's like a security. That's what I've done for so long. That's what I know. So if I change that and it does work, then that's quite scary as well, because that's what I've done for so many years.
Absolutely. And so, that change is something that is a big change, is a big step. And so I'm so proud of you, because you did it. And let's celebrate and talk about what is life like on the other side. I mean, like, Tracy, now that, you're graduated from the program, like, what are you enjoying most about freedom? What does really freedom look like in your life?
for me is I don't think about food. I think about food when I'm sort of starting to get hungry, or I sometimes, I've been traveling a lot, so I haven't had to think about it at all. I haven't even had to sort of have stuff in the house because I've just been elsewhere. And it's such a kind of like, rather than before, I would have been like, well, what time are we eating? I need to know what I'm eating now because I might get hungry then, and that, it's just like, well, you know, there will be food, and if I'm hungry earlier, I can say I'm hungry earlier, or, you know, it's just so much easier to go with the food, which means completely thinking, overthinking every single angle of what I've eaten, what I'm going to eat, what I should be eating, what I shouldn't have been eating, and it's just kind of just so not even a thing now. I sort of eat what I fancy. I try to think, well, you know, how do I feel about that? Do it, and what will that feel like? Do I want that? Do I want that? And just let myself have whatever. And so therefore, I don't then have the, oh, shouldn't have had that, which used to always lead to me having more in a bizarre kind of like, you know, how mad is that? You shouldn't have had it, so I'm going to eat even more, which is kind of mad. And I leave things which I never thought I would do. I met a friend today and had some cake, and I left some of mine because I just had enough. You know, it's kind of so much more relaxed, and actually I don't binge. I haven't, you know, I had 2 minor, what you could maybe call overeating, but no actual binging like I used to have. And so I don't have a feeling like, oh my God, I've eaten so much. You know, I sort of eat stuff that I want to, stop when I don't want to, maybe come back to it, maybe don't, kind of like, it's just, I'm that normal thing, like I used to just think was, how on earth do people do that? And looking back, I don't even really think about it, but looking back now, I just think, well, I eat 3 meals a day because that sort of suits me. Sometimes I have something in between, but on the whole I don't, but I eat enough in those, so actually I'm not hungry. I feel satisfied by what I'm eating. But also if I have something that isn't as tasty or satisfying as I thought it was, but it's not, oh, so I've wasted that, so to eat, you know, something else because I didn't even like that, you know, that kind of thing. It's just normal, just and relaxed and lovely.
Yay, that's beautiful. I love it. It is so beautiful. I love it. And I mean, what is just a relief, or what has changed for you in having food be a non-issue? Like just being a normal eater, being able to leave things on your plate, not having to think about food all the time. Like just what's better in life because of that?
Oh, just so much. It feels completely different. I can eat what I want, which on the whole tends to be, I love vegetables, I love all that kind of stuff, and I can have that. I don't have to worry that actually I'm dieting, and I can eat what I want. I don't think about food nearly so much at all. I think about food when I'm hungry, and if I'm traveling, I know food will come, and I don't have to plan it. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think I've eaten too much. I might sometimes feel full, but that's not going to lead to a binge, which it used to. And also on the other side, as well as having all the things that I want to eat, which is what I do, I just think, what do I fancy right now? If I have something that isn't as nice as I thought it was going to be, so not as tasty, it's not a problem. I'll eat again later. It's filled me up for now. It wasn't that great, you know, like airplane food. It wasn't that great, but that's not a problem. Whereas before that would have been a problem. I'd have then had to eat something really sweet or buy some chocolate because I was deprived because this meal wasn't that nice. So it wasn't enough. Whereas sometimes now I might have sweet things and sometimes I leave them, but quite often I don't now. I used to have sweet things the whole time because I had to have something sweet after a meal. Whereas quite often I'd go for days without having anything sweet. It's just the complete opposite to what it was before.
That is so fun. I love it. Huge congratulations. And I mean, Tracy, just being able to live a life of freedom, right? It's like it allows us to do so many other things, just open up so many other avenues in life, because it's like, oh, we don't have to constantly be worrying and suffering in food stuff, right? Anything else just about freedom and being free that is on your mind to share?
So I have recently been on a trip, and the people I was staying with were all on either, you know, pre-wedding or meal replacements or extreme exercise kind of thing. And I noticed just so much the sort of mental chatter that is going on for them. And I now have that feeling like, oh gosh, that sounds horrible. And they're not, you know, ready to sort of think about anything else, and that's fine. I respect that. But I just would think, oh gosh, thank goodness I don't have that up down complete, you know, if you listen to them talking, which I can now do, it's like a sort of reformed smoker kind of thing, you know, you notice so much more of people's self chat, people's, oh well, I can't have that because I'm not supposed to be eating this, so I'll eat this but I won't drink anything because that's more calories. And you just think, oh, actually I'm having this because this sounds great and I'm going to have that and I'm going to have a drink too, you know, kind of thing. And it's just so much nicer to not have that obsession, and really noticing it in other people is kind of, oh wow, I was probably 10 times worse than that. And so to have that kind of like, oh, you know, I don't have to talk to myself like that, I don't have to think like that, I don't have to be obsessed like that. I'll have something now. Actually, I've been eating so much more fruit because I wasn't allowing myself fruit, not really consciously, but because it was so sugary, despite eating oodles of chocolate bars. So it's a ridiculous thing. But, you know, oh, there's far too much sugar in that. You know, whereas now actually, when I was away, the fruit I had was just like, tasted so good. And I hadn't, you know, had that for so long because either I was having fruit because it was healthy or I wasn't having it because it was too sugary. But actually, if you taste it, it's just, you know, delicious. Whereas I hadn't had that for years. So it feels kind of, you know, I can enjoy food. I'm enjoying when I'm home cooking food that actually I fancy, not because it's, you know, stir fry because it's low calorie, or it's, you know, it's so much more fun, and it has opened up all that enjoyment in food again, which I haven't had for years.
I love that. What a beautiful thing to bring up. Just like that enjoyment in food, because food is so much more than just food, right? And being
Yeah,
able to have a really satisfying meal as opposed to the meal that we must have because it's the lowest calorie meal, right? There's
yeah,
so much satisfaction in that. And
yeah,
I just want to bring awareness to, a lot of times we have the fear of, well, if I just let myself eat what I wanted, I would go crazy and just, you know, eat chocolate all day long and binge
yeah,
on bread. And so, you know, sort of flipping that on its head and building that trust with ourselves. One beautiful piece of normal eating is that we get to see how we eat normally. And I know that sounds sort of like the same thing,
yeah,
but it's
yeah,
like, if you were just to eat how you were to eat as a normal eater, it's okay, yeah, maybe we'll have a drink and yeah, that dinner sounds great. And then we have a salad and then we have some fruit because we want it. When we eat 4 dozen cookies, it's not because we want 4 dozen cookies. That's not
no,
enjoyable. It's a
no,
reaction, right? So being able to get out of that and actually see how we eat as normal human beings
mm,
is so fun, right?
yeah. And because I used to, so if you're doing a diet, you know, eat all the things that supposedly allowed. That, you know, if you feel really hungry, you carry on, and then at the end of it, I used to eat the thing that actually, if I'd eaten that first, I wouldn't have had all that healthy stuff in between. And so now, actually, at breakfast time, I don't often have that much, and I'm satisfied with that. Whereas before, I used to really eat quite a lot because you need to eat a lot, otherwise you get hungry later. You know, on the days I was eating, and it's quite interesting how actually I notice it's like actually I don't need any more from just kind of, you know, something quite small, and because I know actually I'm going to eat something later. It's not like this is all I can have, kind of, you know. And so it completely changes how I see food, and nothing is healthy or not healthy. I mean, obviously some things are healthy, but it's not got that sort of rules on it. So I sort of quite often fancy a salad, or I quite often fancy something else. But it's just a thing. It's like, oh, I fancy that today. No, I don't fancy that today, or I fancy that, and it changes daily. And I've been eating out a lot, and it's kind of like, oh no, I'm not going to have that. Oh, I could have that, but actually, I know I won't really feel great after that, so I'll have that without any kind of either I've got to have the most naughty thing because that's what I should have, or I need to have the most healthy thing. And so it's sort of, I think it sort of balances, because it's like, it is what it is. I seem to quite like healthier foods because I love vegetables, and so it's great. That's a non-thing. It's just what I quite like. But I've just been to Poland, and they have loads of really rich kind of stuff, which I had, but not that much, because actually it's like, actually I don't want any more, thank you. Whereas when I first went there, I had just done a meal replacement thing, and I was like eating everything, even though I didn't even really like it.
Yeah. Oh, so being able to just eat what is satisfying, to be a normal eater, to not have food be a big deal. So much fun. And congratulations. So happy for you. So proud of you. Celebrating you. Anything else on your mind that you just would like to share about your experience or what freedom is like?
So nothing really, apart from the recommendation. I wish I had found you so many years ago, because if anybody's worried about it, I would just say go for it, because I realize now just how many years have been wasted to this, and you're so caught up in it. It is what it is now, but to sort of just try that kind of thing, because even it's only been maybe a month since I graduated, but when I look back, or if I read some of the things I wrote, I just sounded, like you said, so desperate and so scared and so kind of trapped, or feeling I was trapped, whereas I don't even, I don't feel that at all. There's it doesn't sort everything. There's still stressful things, and things go wrong, but I don't use food to kind of to deal with that. And that is, again, another thing that is like, I had a stressful day, I might sit and have a gin and tonic or something, but that won't then lead to, so much stuff. I won't be driven to then try and eat my way out of it and then feel sick because I'd eaten my way out of it, but it hasn't changed what happened anyway. So it's kind of the realization that why would I want to do that? Because actually I'm just going to feel stressed and then sick, rather than feeling so driven to do that. So it's like, it's not only just the eating, it's the how you deal with stress, how your day-to-day existence as well has been majorly affected.
Love that. Love that. And just so happy for you. And, for us to be able to just live our normal lives and not have to have the added stress of also having to try to be done with an eating disorder. It's like, a lot of times another myth that comes up is, oh, well, this is how I deal with my stress. And then as soon as
that's what I thought. That's really what I thought. This is just how I cope with it. So, there we go. This is how I have to, through my history. There's no way around that. This is just what I do. And it's just not, it's not the case.
Yeah, it's so consistent that people start out thinking, well, this is how I deal with my stress. And then once they're free, they're like, oh, now I don't have to deal with all that stress of having an eating disorder. And the stress in your life just becomes normal stress, normal problems that are just on their own, something you can take care of, instead of having all of these extra problems on top of it. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. We are celebrating with you, Tracy. Congratulations on such an amazing journey, and so proud of you just, taking the steps that you did to be able to be free. So one last thing I wanted to ask was, with those same fears, that come up for so many people, right? It's like, you were saying, the fear of like, oh no, what if it works for, everyone else and doesn't work for me, or what if it's just another failure? Like, what was it that came up for you fear-wise, and what helped you to overcome that fear to be able to be free?
So the first fear was the sort of, I'm going to waste all that kind of money. But on the other hand of that, I think I felt like I'd invested this, so I've got to do it. I did absolutely everything you told me to do. And I think that is the thing for anybody worrying. If you do what you're told to do, which isn't like, nothing big and scary, but it just kind of, it works. And, the more that you practice and the more you do what follow your principles, the quicker and easier it works. And I would have said I had, you know, an eating disorder for 45 years. And I did, you know, from the moment I started, as I said, I had 2 minor overeating incidences. I'd been binging by that stage maybe 4 or 5 times a week for 15 years. So it was such a quick change, because I felt like I've got to make this count. So I'm just going to follow. And because it's easy things to follow, you immediately see a massive difference. And I was convinced that and I know a lot of people say this, I would be the one that it wouldn't work for. But as soon as you start doing those very simple steps, it completely changes everything, basically. So I was very scared, but within, you know, just like, oh, actually, this is okay. I can do this. I can do that. Kind of, you know, and each week it's like, oh, I can do that too. And when you look back, it's like, wow, it kind of, even just the day before, the difference to like 3 days after starting your program, the difference is huge. And, you know, then it's just sort of minor tweaking maybe, but so to just take that plunge and, you know, to really kind of do it as quick as you can, really. You know, I love it when I see young people being interviewed where you think, oh my God, you're not going to waste all those years. I mean, they're not wasted, but there was so much, a percentage of so much of that time was wasted on all this stuff. So to just do it and invest in yourself and then just follow those steps and do as much of whatever you can, and you'll just see a massive change.
Love that. And just, I mean, with that, being able to see that hope and that change. And I love how you brought the point of, like, you know, the principles are simple, but it's like when we've been doing stuff for so long that's made it worse. I mean, it's so fun to do something that actually just makes it better, you know, just like having something that works. And I love just that you had that willingness to, you know what, I'm going to do it, because I can't do that for you. You know, like, you've got to be the one doing the practice. And so proud of you showing up and doing that work, Tracy. We are celebrating with you. I mean, after 45 years of an eating disorder, being able to just take a deep breath and be a normal eater and just be able to move on with life. And just so proud of you. Congratulations again. And if you guys want to do the same thing, if you want to take advantage of the free session, the same one that Tracy did with our team, we offer free sessions to help people to get the foundational steps to freedom, which is clarity on what's working, what's not working, what's missing, and what just needs to be put into place. And we're happy to help people with that, because that's the mission. We're ending eating disorders using nothing but our brains. And this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and Tracy, and you guys can go to lydialifestyle.com/apply. And that will be the calendar there. The appointments go very quickly, so snag a spot that works for you just as soon as you see one. Make sure to just come ready to be you, and then we'll walk you through the process. So this is us signing off, and thank you guys so much for being here, and Tracy here celebrating you. Mwah. Bye, guys. You have so many options. You can watch more videos. You can subscribe for new videos every Monday. You can even join our Facebook group with an amazing support community.